We're headed into the final 5 games for the Chicago Bulls. 5 games left before the Chicago Bulls go into the play-in tournament. I'm going to see what their future does hold and how it affects the lottery. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the things that we've learned about this Bulls team over the season and why the Bulls actually answered a lot of my preseason questions. And I kind of had to put myself in a new perspective on it. We're going to talk about all that. Let's dive into the mailbag and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Eric Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And 5 games left in the season, man. We are 5 games away from the season. Around this time next week, we got 8 days left. And at that point in time, the regular season, the 2024-25 regular season will be done, right? And in that, it's put me in I'll do my postseason normal evaluation and player grades and all those things. But I think what it came down to, right? I went back and looked at the episode that I did before the start of the season where I asked a lot of questions, right? And a lot of those questions has been answered and, kind of had to reframe, right? One, the first thing. I came into this saying the Bulls, by any means necessary, have to do what it takes to keep their pick this year. They did that. They did that in the Zach LaVine trade. Now, they did it in a way that was different than I was expecting. I didn't link the Zach LaVine trade to keeping the pick, right? They even made the case that, hey, the Bulls could probably keep their pick without trading Zach LaVine, especially after how they started the start of the season. But they found a way to get off Zach LaVine's contract, to get back 3 players in that as well that, for the majority, Bulls fans have really appreciated as players. And we own our own pick back. And the Bulls actually did better than I was expecting because I was just talking about the 2025 draft pick. By the trade that they made, they were able to keep all their picks. And now the Bulls own all their first-round picks out into the future. That flexibility is huge, right? Then, other than that, right, the thing I wanted to know is the chemistry between Kobe and Josh Giddey. Is that was going to be a backcourt that could work. Now, we only have the sample size over we have the full sample size of the season, but it's been more good than bad. When you really go back and look at it, right? I had to go back and look at it myself. I know that the recent stretch by the Bulls after the trade deadline, right? After the All-Star break, basically, they've been playing some really good basketball. But Josh Giddey and Kobe White's chemistry really started kind of really getting a little bit. You started seeing flashes of that more towards the beginning of January. Then some things threw it off, right, with injuries and things like that. But there's been more signs of good that they can work. There's still some rough patches in it, but there's been some really good moments in how that really works out together, right? One of the questions I had is Josh Giddey part of your future? I think that's an adamant yes. Now, the Bulls have to re-sign him, but I don't think his play on the court has stopped him from being part of the Bulls' future, despite what some Josh Giddey haters will have you believe in regards to Josh Giddey's game. He has been a really good player for the Chicago Bulls team, and he came along, right? Especially when you factor in how he started off the season with an injury, right? He had to get himself in gear, different role, actually playing the point guard, than having to fit into different roles because he was playing with Shea. And even then, it was because it was Shea and Jay, right? Both 2 other guards that he had to figure it in. And he's figured it out a lot more this season, right? That was one of my questions I had as well. And so the chemistry between Kobe White and Josh Giddey has really turned into the engine of this team, right? And, it's up to them, and I've said it before, it's up to them to show that they can do it for a full season. But at this point, we're approaching over 30 games of them playing this way and playing really good together. That's almost half a season's worth of basketball, right? So, there's more signs than not that it can work out. I think you got to do some other things on your roster to make it make sense, but they've done that, right? Keep in mind, this was a season where I thought that the Bulls were going to win 34 to 35 games. They've exceeded that. They've won 35 games already, right? I would assume they're going to win more than one more game over these last 5. So they've exceeded that expectation, right? And I thought that they had to stay between that 34-ish range to make sure they can keep their top 10 pick. But hey, here we are with our own pick, right? And Modest. That was another big question in this. Modest Bucilis. What was Modest going to look like this year? Was he going to play? And while it started off the early part of the season, no, where he was averaging less than 14 minutes before the All-Star break, and now he's well over 25 minutes per game since the All-Star break, Modest Bucilis looks like a player that could turn into something really, really good for the Chicago Bulls, both offensively and defensively. His growth over the course of the season has been tremendous. And keep in mind, this is still all without Billy Donovan really still isn't calling plays for Modest. He still isn't allowing Modest Bucilis to go into isolation times, right? Like a lot of that, like a lot of Modest's game, the dribbling, things like that, we're really not still seeing a whole lot of, but not because he can't do it, but because Billy Donovan hasn't thrust those responsibilities on him. I think that's coming next season. And so when you sit in this place, like some questions didn't get answered. Is P. Will going to be part of the future? That's a negative. No, I don't think P. Will. I mean, he's going to be part of the future because he has the contract, but I don't think at this point you're planning. Like, I would not stop drafting a forward if the forward's the best player on the board because we got Patrick Williams. That's the place that I'm at now with P. Will, right? Dalen and Julian have shown some flashes. Dalen has looked really good defensively at times. Julian has looked good defensively and offensively at different times, but they maybe haven't gotten as much as I hoped, even though they started off the season getting a very big part of the rotation. It's kind of fluctuated since then with some of their performance. So that's been some questions there. Io, I wanted to know if Io was going to, follow up his season last year. And when he was a starter, for the most part, he did. Right now, of course, Io got off to a slow start as well, but the advanced stats always loved Io. Even early in the season, even when the Bulls were struggling, I always pointed out the Bulls' best lineups were with Io DeSumo in those lineups. So that's still a good sign for the future, right? I got more on Io later, but you look at Io as a starter, 14 points per game, 52% shooting from the field, 35% shooting from three-point range, taking 4.5 of them per game, 5 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals. I think people forget how good Io DeSumo was when he was a starter for those 26 games he did start for the Bulls. Unfortunately, he only played 46 games, but, Io's going to come back. He's going to attack it. Overall on the season, 12.5 points per game, 4.5 assists, 49% shooting. It was a solid season by Io. I do think with the way the Bulls played, kind of more so after the All-Star break, Io would have continued to really be a key cog in that. But overall, where the Bulls are right now is kind of in a better place than I thought that they would, but they just got to it in a different way, right? They didn't have to lose to keep their pick. They got to win on the back half of the season and learn how to do those things. They got pieces back from the Zach LaVine trade that on paper initially didn't look like the best return, but have made a really important contribution to this team and the winning basketball that the team has made. And we've gotten to see our young guy in Modest Bucilis really start looking like that star-level player that, let me not say that, star-level potential that we want to see from a player drafted as high as he wasn't projected to go as high as he was, and he fell to the Chicago Bulls. It's been a solid season for the Bulls. And I think that, of course, we're not winning at the rate that, you want to if you're going to be a playoff team, and that's something that comes with time. But I think if most people are being honest, not many people expected the Bulls to really be a winning team this season. And I think that, of course, you have people that are unhappy, whether it's because they wanted to see the Bulls tank and be a bottom team outright. You have the Bulls, like some Bulls fans, I still remember the crazy people that thought this team could win 50 games, which was still crazy to me. But, you have that. But the Bulls are leaving out of this season with way more hope than what I thought I thought that the hope would be leaving this season would be, all right, bet. We got a lottery pick. We're going to see where it's going to go. We got this promising rookie in Modest, and let's see where the chips fall, where they may after that. But when you really look at it, this Josh Giddey and Kobe White backcourt brings a lot of hope. Modest Bucilis brings even more hope than I was expecting at this point in time. And shout out to Billy Donovan for actually playing the young rook here on the back half of the season, right? Well, second half of the season. We still got our pick and all our picks outright going forward because I didn't think we would have that, right? I definitely thought if we keep our lottery pick this year, then it's probably going to convey to the Spurs with it only being top 8 protected. We don't have to worry about that in the future either. It's a weird place to be in, right? I know that a lot of people hope that the Bulls would have a better chance at a top 5 pick. Let's see where the lottery ends up at, right? But this team has a lot of promise. This team is on the upswing, and let's see what they can continue to do. And it puts, as I've said before, it puts more pressure on AK to really, how are you going to bring this all home, right? How are you going to get us to the next step? It puts more pressure on AK now because this team is showing you something. Now go out there and get this offseason right. And we'll see what AK got in store for us. But I know what we have in store for us coming up next. That's voicemails. It is mailbag day. Let's go ahead and get into these the voicemails for today. This first one that we got, this one's from Jeremy.
Hey, what's up, Hayes? This is your boy Jeremy down here in Oklahoma. Just loving the future now. I love hearing all the negative Nancy's all of a sudden changing their tune. Giddy, the youth, Mattis is growing. Even Dalen Carey's getting on the floor and producing. It's just nice. We went from doom and gloom, not much hope for the future, to a couple of months later, some new pieces, new energy. It's nice, so. I know not everyone's going to agree, but, just the growth of Giddy, the Mattis, Kobe, they're working together, the chemistry's building. It's just nice, and it's something to look forward to for a change. So, another great show. I appreciate all your work, and be red, my friend.
From doom and gloom to bright spots of the future. I think that that's a great way to put this, right? Kobe and Josh Giddey have been the engine of this team, as I said earlier, right? And their chemistry right now is the backbone of what this team is. Now, we have other things like, of course, our role players are playing really good basketball, really contributing to it. You got what's going on with, with Manas Busilis and his growth there. And I think that this Bulls future looks a lot different than what I initially expected it to coming into this season, right? And so, yeah, the Bulls have a future now. And of course, you want to see how things are going to start off next season. You don't want to kind of get too, speaking for myself, don't want to get too, in over my head and allow for, let's see what these players come with after an offseason. Let's hope everybody goes into the offseason as far as Kobe and Giddey, Modest, that they can have a healthy offseason where they can just focus on growing and developing their game. Their roles don't change again. They can focus now on what they need to do. Here's the thing, right? And the reason why I always harping so much on roles and knowing what your role is going to be so that way you can prepare for that role. When we drafted Derrick Rose, Kirk Heinrich that summer did a lot of things to maybe it was the following season, it's Derrick Rose's second season, but Kurt Heinrich did a lot of things where he changed his body. He put on some more weight. He did those things because he realized now it's best for me. I've been the point guard for this team, but I need to do what I need to do to become the shooting guard for this team so that I can play next to Derrick Rose, right? And knowing that you have that role outright, it helps how you prepare for your offseason. Kobe hasn't had that, right? Now, Kobe did some things last year and talking about he wants to fix his conditioning so he can be better equipped for the workload he was going to have to handle. I think he did that pretty good this season, right? He still has moments where he looks gassed at times, but, he didn't expect to be the number one option either. He expected a bigger workload, but not necessarily be the number one. He's now has a chance to go into the offseason understanding I'm the number one, with also added understanding of, hey, when my shot's not falling, attack. Let me get to this free throw line. I can't wait to see with Peter Patton and he also works with Dribble Too Much and goes to the other coaches, what they do with Kobe, and how Kobe focuses in on certain areas now that he kind of has that clarity of what his role is going to be. And also the fact he's going to be in the backcourt with Josh Giddey, right? And so I think that's an important part of this. Modest, the sky's the limit. He just got to go in and work on his things, polish every single part of his game, come back out better ready next season. And I think that this is going to be it's going to be really interesting to see how this team starts off next season. And, I'm really excited to get to that, but still got the plan to get through. We got all that to get through. It's going to be fun. All right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Reginald.
Hey, this is Reginald. Just calling right before the Bulls OKC game. And I know we've talked a lot about Giddey and Kobe, future extension talk. But my question is, what do you think about Kyle, Jalen, and Jordan Scruggs? I mean, when it comes to Kyle, I wouldn't mind seeing him sign a 5-year deal for 25 per. I mean, he's a two-way player. He can score. He can do all the things, you want your shooting guard to do. And with Billy and his love for, a 3-guard lineup, I could see a future where he has Giddey, Kobe, and Io all on the court at the same time. Julian and Dalen are a bit of a question mark for me because, we've all seen flashes, but there's nothing consistent about it. So, but at this point in time, this would be probably the cheapest time to get them. Dalen and Julian, you probably get both men for like $5 or $6 million per. And for role players that come off the bench, that's not terrible. They're definitely more valuable than Javon Carter, but even the Water Boy is more valuable than him. So I can't really use that as a measuring stick. But the last guy I want to talk about is Trey Jones. You know, like you and like most Bull fans, we'd love to see him come back. And like I said, if they build it with his 3-guard lineup, don't be surprised if, someone like him and if Lonzo Ball's still on the team, I can see the both of them on the court at the same time. But, 4-year, 12.5 per would also be, well, for a backup point guard would be great. But more importantly, it'd be great for a guy who hasn't really played this season, because, he's playing behind Castle and Vassell and everybody in San Antonio. And with only a small sample size here in Chicago, I doubt most teams are going to offer more than that. But, like I said, these are just spitballing questions. Is it the right time to offer Julian and David an extension? And what do you think? Thanks.
Listen, Io absolutely has a future on this team, Reggie. And I know you're not saying that, right? But the people who say things like, "Oh, Io's he's expendable now. We got Trey Jones." Like, it reminds me of the same thing that people were saying 4 years ago with Kobe White after we got Caruso and Lonzo and DeMar and everybody. Well, we don't need Kobe White anymore. Let's trade him for a big man. Io DeSumo is still, when you look at this roster, the best on-ball defender that we have. It's probably still, I can't call him the best creator in the open court because Josh Giddey is definitely the best creator, but still a guy that can facilitate in the style that you want to, in that up-tempo style and how he facilitates. He also attacks the rim, right? And you need that. So, listen, I don't think people saying that Io or thinking Io is expendable or really looking at that, but hey, it is what it is. But I don't know, like, Io's going to have an opportunity to earn a big contract. Listen, the way contracts work in the NBA, it could be $18 million, it could be $25 million. We'll see what ends up happening there. But Io's putting himself in a really good position. I don't think he's going to sign like an extension. I think it is going to go to unrestricted free agency, especially with him having an injury this offseason. He's going to want an opportunity to come in and show what he can bring, and we'll see what that is. Trey Jones' future is very, very interesting, right? Because it can go a lot of different ways. The Bulls can keep him. They can sign and trade him. They can do a lot of things. Trey Jones, I like on this team, as a lot of Bulls fans do. And we'll see what the future holds for them. As far as Julian and Dalen Terry, the Bulls have a long time. Keep in mind, Julian's only on his second year of his rookie contract. We got 2 more years on that rookie scale contract before we even got to worry about anything. Dalen, his is coming up sooner rather than later. But, I think it really comes down to how ready is he. A lot's going to come down to next season. What the role he has in, how good he looks, that's going to play a big part in the Dalen Terry and the future that he has here on this Bulls team. And we'll see. Hopefully he's given hopefully he earns the opportunity for a larger role next season. I don't want to see anybody giving anything. I want to see him earn it. So we'll see what happens there. Let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from TJ.
Yo, what's up, hey? Just TJ again. Last voicemail cut off. I was rambling a little too long. But I was basically going to say what the other part of my question was, what do you think the young guys got to do to be able to basically combat a suffocating defense like that? You could just speak on it from the perspective of, like, your favorite young guy on the team. But one positive note I had took from the game yesterday, Modest is looking good. I feel like he actually might have the potential to become that number one after watching him yesterday. Although he wasn't able to get some of them layups or hit some of them shots, I feel like with a little bit more work, he gonna be there because I feel like he was really the only one who was getting the shots that he wanted. You feel me? Like, I feel like everybody else was kind of just taking the shots and hitting the shots that the Thunder wanted them to hit or take. But Modest looked like he was the one who was kind of picking his future. He was taking the shots that he wanted. He was getting to the rim at will, in my opinion. Like, Modest really do need to go work with Kobe with dribble too much this summer, because I feel like that kid could be dangerous, man. Real talk. With that handle and his size, he needs to put on some weight this summer. He needs to keep working with Peter Pan with that jump shot. And I think he needs to go on out there with wherever the fuck dribble too much is at with Kobe. He needs to go out there with Kobe and Ayo. And whoever the fuck else be going, they all shit. Take the whole fucking team at this point. Dribble too much needs to get their ass some handles, because these niggas be stumbling and fumbling the ball. But yeah, man. That's it, man. Bless. C-Red Nation, y'all. Peace.
So, yeah, the Bulls to combat, and for those that he left one voicemail, got it really long, so I'll just play this one. He was asking about the Thunder. I think it comes down, like, the Bulls they're still a young team. They're still learning, right? I think we need more three-point shot creation. I think we do need a kind of big who's a bigger threat to kind of bust up that zone as well. But the Thunder are where they are because of the hard work they put in over 4 years to develop that team. So it's just going to take some time, man. The Bulls aren't ready for the Thunder. We're not nearly the Thunder's level, and that's what it's going to come down to. I think we need to develop a three-point shooter, more consistency there, and I think that's going to be something that helps. Modest has an amazing handle, and I think that he hasn't really been given an opportunity to display it because he doesn't get an opportunity to create a lot for himself. Now, that's a rookie. I think that's by design by Billy. Hopefully he gets more of that opportunity next season. And I think that's going to come for him. And I think that's going to be really good for him as well. So we'll see what happens with Modest in that area and how he continues to grow and evolve as a player. But like I said, you don't want to put a cap on Modest, and we'll see what he turns into. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Vaughn.
What's up, Hayes? I hope I get all this out before the 2 minutes is up. But I just wanted to preface this by saying I love what Trey Jones has brought to this Bulls team, and I think he's going to have a successful career wherever he goes. But I'm here to play devil's advocate, man. And I think the Bulls should look into signing and trading Trey Jones or letting him walk. And here's my thinking. First, I want to start with the Bulls' current projected rotation with all the guards they have. The Bulls are due to pay Giddey, Kobe, Ayo, and currently are paying Lonzo too. To pay Trey Jones as well, to me, is just not that smart of a move because I'm trying to figure out where he fits in the rotation exactly. So my main point I'm making is this. Assuming we draft a center and get rid of Vucevic, we have a projected 9-man rotation of something like this. Giddey, Kobe, Herter, Modest, Collins, with Ayo, Lonzo, P. Will, and Jalen Smith or whatever center that we draft off the bench. It's about 9-man rotation right there. You said Giddey and Kobe have accounted for like 60% of the buckets or assists or something like that for the Bulls. I forget exactly what you said. And to me, that signifies that I think those are the two players that you need to stagger to keep a constant flow of offense on the floor at all times. So with Ayo back, I think he'll be able to slot in when you want Giddey and Ayo or Kobe and Ayo perfectly while the other one can rest. So then at small forward, you could start Herter or Zoe and have the other one play backup small forward minutes. At power forward, you got Modest starting. You got P. Will as the backup. Maybe that's Julian Phillips later. Who knows? And then at center, you got Collins and then maybe Jalen Smith or whoever you draft, right? So I'm mainly looking to put players like Ayo back in their natural position at guard, right, for now and for the foreseeable future while clearing minutes for guys we need to see play. And because of that, I just don't see a huge role for Trey Jones. Now, I know people will say, well, Lonzo will get hurt again. And I say, yeah, maybe. But that's where I need to see a guy like Dalen Terry, who has not been prioritized for soaking up all the minutes in the contract year, or even Julian Phillips. And on top of that, I want Giddey, Kobe, and Ayo soaking up all those backcourt minutes, splitting those 96 backcourt minutes between the three of them. Now, listen, I'm all for getting something back for Trey Jones, and I love what he's brought here and as a player. And I want to see him start somewhere. But for the Bulls' rotation in the future, I think we need to implement the fours we have on this team more and let some guys play more minutes. I like the size we can have on the wing, and I'm just tired of seeing the four-guard lineup shit that Billy keeps doing. And if we keep Trey Jones, I think that's what's going to happen. At some point, we need to pay players to play their natural position, and we need to play more traditional lineups to truly have sustained success. So I love Trey Jones, and it really does hurt to say this, but I just think it's better to find a sign and trade or let Brody walk. But let me know what you think. All right, man. Peace.
Listen, I get what you're getting at, right, Vaughn? And here's the thing, though. You say more natural positions. We're seeing an NBA where that's not as such. Even Ayo, Ayo has been better at small forward than what he has been at guard. He has. Go and look at the numbers. Go and look at the position breakdowns. He's been better. So him playing, it'd be different if we were at a deficit of that, right? Now I get what you're saying as far as moving on from Trey. And I'm not if a team comes with a big offer and the sign and trade makes sense, Cool, great, do that. But I'm not for handing players minutes. Like you brought up Lonzo and P. Will. I'm sorry, no slight to these guys, but neither one of them are players that you can bet on being a factor of your future going forward. I just can't, right? Lonzo's way too injury prone. Like I said in an episode of Locked On, it's no longer Trey Jones is Lonzo insurance. Lonzo is Trey Jones insurance, meaning that if Trey Jones somehow gets hurt, all right, cool, at least we got Lonzo. But I'm more willing to give that player to a player that's been a lot more healthy over his career in Trey Jones, right? P. Will is a non-motherfucking factor to me, to be quite frank to you, right? So I get what you're saying is that you want to see players in a more natural position, but here's the thing. Billy Donovan ain't going to do that shit no way. It's not going to happen. Billy Donovan is going to play his 3 and 4 guard lineups. And if he's going to do that, I'd rather bet on a player like Trey, who's already shown that he can be part of that and play well with those guys, right? We've been a more productive team, regardless of position, when Trey Jones on the court. Now, as far as Dalen, you want Dalen to get those minutes over Trey. I want Dalen to earn that. He hasn't earned it yet. He's not a better player than Trey Jones. Now, if he goes into training camp and he earns it, great. But he hasn't yet. So I'm not against the Bulls keeping a player, because keep in mind, this is a team that is going to be trying to win. Keeping a player that helps and factors into winning, you just got to see what is going to happen. But like I said, I understand the perspective that you attack this with, but you got to see what the Bulls are going to do. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's from my Uncle Mingo.
Hey, what up, nephew? This Mingo, man, this big unc. Hey, I just want to address everybody, man, that keep talking about this tanking shit, man. Let it go. Just go and let the tank go, man. We in the play-in. So go on, get your ass whooped in the play-in, maybe make it to the playoffs, get your ass whooped there. I just want to get this stuff out the way so we ain't got to talk all summer long about the what-ifs. All y'all people with the tanking, man, just let it go. Because back when we sucked, when we was trash, we had good pick placement. Kobe White, good pick placement. You might not like the pick, man, but we had good pick placement. Patrick Williams, pick placement. It don't matter, man. The Cooper flag thing, that's all everybody looking for. What did we get if we would have tanked or whatever, and we would have placed 3 and above, 4, 5, 6, 7? Them the same goddamn places that Kobe White was picked, Patrick Williams was picked, Daniel Gafford was a good pick. I mean, man, good pick placement. So go and let the tank shit go. Only thing that I say, man, about looking at the Cooper flag thing that everybody wants is what Chicago needs. You want a superstar, and I get that, man. Chicago deserves somebody with a shoe deal, on commercials, all-star player. That's what we want, man. This the hometown of the GOAT, man, MJ. So, hey, I just want to get that out the way, man, so we ain't got to sit here and talk about tanking all goddamn summer. I'll holler.
Letting the tank, listen, this is a great voicemail to end it on, because I just got this to say. I'm not doing the woulda, coulda, shoulda all offseason. I'm not doing when the lottery comes where the Bulls pick, people complaining, well, we could have had this pick if only we lost. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the after the draft if the guys that you want come off the board before the drafts get able to pick, because guess what? They didn't tank. I've been telling you guys for 3 years the Bulls weren't going to tank. They're not going to. They've said that before. They've done it. When people's words and actions match, and you still hope for something else, is it their fault or is it yours? Right? You can't make people do what you want them to do. They said that they weren't going to tank. They've shown that. It's been evident in everything that this organization has done. They are not going to tank. Let the tank go. And I know people won't. Me saying this really doesn't matter. There's still going to be people with every step. Well, see, this is why we should have tanked. It's not happening. It is what it is. Let it go, right? But that's my thoughts. That's my time. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.